my audience. Okay, Ron. Term limits. They're not something new. They're not something just for America. The historian Garrett Fagan said that people who held office in the Roman Republic were only able to hold that office for 1 year. Afterwards, they were not able to be elected for 10 years. Our forefathers were well aware of this rotation of office in antiquity, and they debated on it back then just as we do now. I'm going to take you down a path. We're going to start at the history of term limits. We're going to go up in the hills and valleys of what congressmen and women are exposed to when they are in office long term. We're going to make a detour at the proposed 28th Amendment. And then finally, we're going to end at our destination, which is change in the status quo, by logging on to petitiontocongress.org. George Washington, our first president. He could have been president for the rest of his life, but instead he chose to end his presidency after 2 terms. This precedent stayed intact until Franklin Roosevelt, who after his 3rd term, the 22nd Amendment was ratified, limiting the president to 2 terms. Why do you think George Washington did that? Why do you think he limited himself and didn't take the easy road? I'll tell you. It's because he didn't fight in the Revolutionary War to have another king like he did from England. He knew that with long-term power came corruption and came partisanship, where neither sides of the political party could come to a common ground for the benefit of the citizens. That's exactly where we're at right now in Congress. A report from NBC News said the average length of service terms for senators is 12.8 years. That's a little over 2 terms. Now, my thought is, if you can't do what you came to Washington to do in a decade, then you're probably not going to be able to. A recent Fox News poll said that 8 out of 10 registered voters were in favor of terms federally mandated for Congress. Now, let's talk about why most Americans want term limits for Congress. I'll give you 2 reasons to start off the bat. Number 1, they make laws that benefit themselves. Number 2, they make laws for the citizens of this nation and then don't have it applied to themselves. Were you aware that a senator can serve 1 term and then retire and receive the same amount of money that he did while he was in office for his retirement? You're probably aware that Congress exempted themselves from the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. So we have to work our entire lives to save up enough money to retire, when a senator can work 6 years and then retire on our dime, our tax money. Also, Congressman has told us what we need for insurance, but then that's not what the senators need. That's what you need, but it doesn't apply to us. That leads me to our detour, which is the proposed 28th Amendment, which simply says this: Congress shall not instate any law against the citizens of the United States that does not apply to themselves. Congress shall not instate any law against Congress that does not apply to the citizens as well. Pretty simple, elementary. It makes them no longer a ruler class. They are on the same line as us. They can't tell us what's best for us anymore. So I'm going to take you back on the path of long-term service without term limits. They also are influenced by financial motivations. They have donors. They have lobbyists. Year after year, they become comfortable with this process. They build relationships with these people. And then they think it's okay. They have to vote the will of these people who are giving them money. Can you spell obligation? Because that's exactly where they're at after they take their money. Other influences that they have are from their own political parties. If you don't toe the party line, then you won't get elected to special committees where you can make a difference in the lives of this country, no matter whether that's what your constituents want to vote or not. So in conclusion, I just want to say that our forefathers fought and died for this to be a country made of the people, for the people, by the people, not to be led by a ruling class of corporate lawyers, of career politicians who tell us what's best for us, but don't make laws that apply to themselves, who make laws, when they do apply to themselves, to benefit themselves, who are corrupted by money, who are persuaded by political party. Log on to petitiontocongress.org. Sign their petition. They will send a letter to your president, your senator, your representative, telling them that you want federally mandated term limits for Congress. Now, this isn't a plug for petitiontocongress.org. This is a plug for you to take action for term limits for Congress. You can get on any website, Google term limits. You'll get a dozen of the same websites like petition2congress.org. It doesn't matter to me which one you log on to, just as long as you take action, take 5 minutes, sign a petition for these term limits for Congress. If you cannot do it for yourself, then do it for the future citizens of this country, your children. Thank you.